Part 83. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 823. Depart from August 2nd. Yekong soon heard the news from Shui Bingning and went back to tell Kuangpeng. It's good news, but we can get the news, and the holy demon sect can also get the news. Yi Jian's abacus played well, Kuangpeng said after thinking for a while. You mean this is intended by Yi Jian? He knows I'm leaving, Yekong asked. Of course, why would the Yi family firm send Starboat out again so urgently? Yekong also had doubts about this matter. Yi Menying had to rest for a while, but this time he left when he returned. It was abnormal. Is Yi Jian helping me? Yekong asked again. Kuangpeng laughed, it's both help and harm. You think about it, he's got such a big fanfare, we've got the news, and the holy demon sect has also got the news. This time, the starboat of the Yi family business must be blocked. If you fail, you will be arrested or destroyed by the boat, and the holy demon sect will die. If you successfully escape, then the holy demon sect will look everywhere else, and there will be no embarrassment for the Pipa, death is alive, and the perimeter of the Pipa realm can be resolved. It is only good for them and not bad. It turned out that there are so many famous churches. Yekong felt that even though he was fine, compared with these old guys who have lived for thousands of years, it was a real witch. Then how should we respond? Yekong asked again. Kuangpeng laughed, I have Kuangpeng here, do you need to worry? In the holy demon sect, Tu Chajen has also passed through a year of training. Yekong, you finally appeared, let you be the first prey of this messenger. 3 days later, outside the city of Shadow Snow, the Yi family firm named Xingzhou base. The wind blows, and Yi Manying's white clothes are swayed slightly. She stands on the front of the huge black star boat and works overtime. Behind is the Yi family firm's businessmen. Mother, that kid didn't come to me, Yi Menying said. The old ancestor said, and set sail on the way. Yi Zia finished, and said to her daughter with concern, this voyage is very dangerous, you should be careful. Yi Menying nodded, Mother, don't worry. Yi Zia's eyes contained love, but there was one more word that she had to say. Yi Menying knew what she was going to say, and said, Mother, I will not leak that transmission channel even if I die. Yi Zia felt uncomfortable in her heart, others did not know, but she knew that going out this time was very dangerous. There were dozens of Saint Demon sovereigns outside. It was very difficult to escape with Yekong under their eyelids. I hope Yekong will not show up. Yi Zia thought so, and flew off the starboat. Sail. Yuman Yingyu's hand was very pendulum. Above the surface of the starboat, a layer of light golden light film appeared immediately. This is a protective cover formed by the matrix method, which can resist all kinds of rays and particles that are harmful to humans in Kangming. If it is not for this layer of protection, the monk Yuanying cannot go to Kangming. Then, a huge black star boat rose in front of the eyes, rising higher and higher. On the Pipa mountain, on the roof of the palace under the jade Pipa, there are 2 slender figures with buckets. Watching that behemoth turn into a black spot, break through the sky array, and disappear in sight. Yekong asked, can we keep up? He also said quietly with a dreadful puppet, the fastest starboat is not as fast as mine. Don't forget that my body is a flying bird. But I am a newly born person, will there be anything in Kangming? Yekong asked again. Of course there will be something, but rest assured, I have already figured out a way. Kuangpeng smiled easily. Outside the Pipa, in the Kangming, a medium-sized starboat. The vast sky is dark and deep, and it is dotted with countless large stars. The spirited new Saint Tu Chajen stood on the starboat and looked down at the behemoth that had emerged from the Pipa realm. The starboat of the Yi family is used to transport goods, which can be described as an extra-large size. The Saint Demon starboats are all used for battles, all of them are small and exquisite, but they are flexible and fast. Holy Envoy, "The sound of the lute in the lute is still playing," said a subordinate obituary. "Still ringing? Couldn't this boy even stop Peepazoo in order to escape?" Tu Chajen thought for a moment and waved his hand. "I would rather miss it." "Don't miss it, stop him and check it first." He gave an order, and immediately more than a dozen star boats surrounded. Back and forth, up and down, and all the way was blocked. Yijia, seeing Joe, had to stop. "Trouble came to you so soon?" Yi Menying had already covered a layer of tulle on her face at this moment. She said loudly, "We are the Yi family of Ying family, who can stop it?" "I." "Holy Demon Sovereign, Tu Chajen's star boat flew from above and stopped slowly above Yu Menying's head. "This is the normal cargo transportation of our shadow clan, and your holy demon sect has no right to block it," Yi Menying reprimanded, and immediately stood out 3 columns of shadow clan men, all of whom were armed with knives and weapons and repaired in rotation. Equivalent to the Yuan infant period, 2 of them turned out to have reached the monarch. Repair Yujia firm really has extraordinary strength. When Tu Chajen saw that the other party was actually assisted by a prince, he couldn't help thinking about it. He calmed down and said, "I waited to follow the order, and Yi Shaizu asked me to check it. If there is no fugitive from the holy demon sect, let it go." Yakong didn't come, and Yi Menying was very relaxed. "If you want to check it, check it. If you can't find anyone, then this trip is safe." Soon, the demon sect came to the ship, and Yi Menying couldn't help laughing. "This friend, I do not know who your surname is, what does it look like, and if I see it, I can help you catch it." The captain of the holy demon sect threw a wanted order, a large portrait of Yakong on it. Yi Menying was so funny, this kid wasn't safe anywhere. He was hunted down by the barbarians, and later by the Linjiao mountain in Qingming Valley. Now he is wanted by the holy demon section. His bad temper will really cause trouble. But Yi Menying was curious, what did Yakong do? The holy demon sect sent so many starships to siege Pipa for 1 year, which is a great cost. And this is only in Kangming. In the lower realms, there are still many saints who are blocking the entrances and exits of the Pipa realm to conduct detailed investigations. They will not stop without catching Yakong. When Yi Menying was away, he suddenly heard a noise outside. Yi Menying quickly walked to the side of Xingzhou, and saw that in the formation of Pipa realm, he suddenly wore a white light, and the white light was like lightning. And over. And the holy demon star boat where Bai Guang passed by, some were drilled into a hole by Bai Guang, and some were broken through the protective cover on the boat. Suddenly, there was a cry for help, an exclamation, a star boat crash, and chaos. What everyone didn't notice was that a small particle slipped from the white light, fell on the protective cover of Yujia Xingzhou, and slowly got into it. When this scene happened, the Jade Pipa also stopped playing for a year. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 824. 82 for Holy Demon Sect. Watching that white light quickly walk away, flying farther and farther. Tu Chajen couldn't care less, he swung his hands and ordered in a hurry. Chase. Saint Demon star boats are all battle star boats, and their reaction speeds are also fast, turning their heads flexibly, and galloping away after Bai Guang. Dozens of star boats disappeared in the vast sky in the blink of an eye, and far from the red highlights at the tail of the star boat. Yi Jiaxingzhou immediately became quiet, and Yi Menying immediately ordered, "Set sail." The black body of the huge Yi Jiaxingzhou slightly adjusted his attitude and drove in the other direction. At the moment Yakong was lying on a large lounge chair, enjoying Zhu Lingfei's massage for his legs. He looked up at the sky. At this moment, the whole sky was like a layer of transparent glass, and the condition outside the Pipa beads appeared clearly. Its huge Yakong was the first time that he watched the star boat so closely. I saw that the star boat was black overall, emblazoned with many precious stones, sparkling. In the upper part of the star boat, there is a layer of flowing light, which isolates the people on the star boat from Kangming. It's almost like a spaceship in Star Wars. Yekong picked up a fruit around him and threw it into his mouth. I never imagined that the Yi family firm had such a huge starboat. The first family firm of the Shadow family really has extraordinary strength. Watch such a big starboat up close. A few female disciples were sitting cross-legged and also sulking, with curious and surprised expressions on their faces. Kuangpeng's strategy is like this. He led away the St. Joe's starboat and threw Yekong on the Yi family starboat. Meet in 5 days. There is no need to worry that Kuangpeng cannot be found. He will make a circle in Kangming every 10 years, so Kangming around Yunyeo is very familiar with him. Besides, Yekong also gave him directions, so Kuangpeng would definitely find it. In fact, Yekong once thought that it would be more convenient if the transmission coordinates of the Black Demon could be shared with others. But there is no way. The transmission service of the Black Demon sect does not have this function, which means that the people next to the coordinate points recorded by Yekong cannot use it, so Kuangpeng must follow Xianxia to Kangnan. The monk who led away the Saint Demon Sovereign has already surpassed the realm of deities, Zhu Lingfei asked. She has been used to Pipazu for so long, and she is used to it, and she is less hostile to Yekong. Yekong nodded and said, he is already in the Mahayana period, and flying in Kangmingli for a year and a half is no problem. Yes, Zhu Lingfei was a little surprised. She learned from Yekong's mouth that there are still several realms after the deification, and she still has a little disbelief, but now she is really surprised when she sees the real Mahayana monk. She was surprised, and the little fist accidentally left Yekong's leg, and she hit it where she shouldn't. Zhu Lingfei felt the strangeness under his fist and quickly retracted his hand. His fist was not heavy, but Yekong was shocked when he was attacked somewhere. Sorry, I didn't see it. Zhu Lingfei's face flushed. It doesn't matter. Now that you have massaged to this place, just press a few more. Oh, not by knocking. Someone said shamelessly. Although Zhu Lingfei was shy, he didn't dare to resist his order, so he put his hands on it. His face was bleeding. I saw a female disciple around, her face flushed, and she hid in the house one by one. After a while, she walked cleanly around. Someone couldn't help feeling that it was too shameless for Yuanying Nahan to give me a pistol. But someone hasn't been shameful for a long time, because there are several huge faces in the sky, including Yuanying's face. Hey, Yekong, I know you're inside, you come out for me. Don't come out and throw your dust off the boat, Yuanying shouted indignantly. This dust turned from pipa beads cannot be found by Yuanying. However, there are still shadow-like people on the starboat. Their deity is very powerful. Even if the pipa beads are tiny, they can find the same. When Yuanying heard the report, he rushed over and knew in his heart that Yekong's rogue was hiding in it. Sure enough, there was a flash of white light, and someone owing appeared. Yi Shaizu, it's been a long time. Yekong came out and smiled. It really is you, Yuanying snorted angrily and asked, what? After the scourge of Kangnan, the scourge of Yunyao. This woman should talk to the patriarch in such a way that she must learn from you in the future. Someone froze in his heart, but laughed, where and where, I just like traveling, I can't think of Yi Shaizu everywhere. It seems that we are really donkey friends. What's messy? I tell you, the boat is not so easy to set up, and the ship's capital is used. Yuanying reached out with anxiety. Shipping is due. I do nt know how many spirits I have to go to Kangnan. Yekong laughed. Yuanying smiled lightly. Every time she had such a fox-like cunning smile, Yekong became vigilant. This woman is not easy to deal with. Sure enough, Yuanying said, bring the Howling Wolf King, just barely. Yekong was sweating, and Yuanying was still thinking about it, and his memory was really good. I'm sorry, the Wolf King is breaking through, so I can't bother. Then you can do hard work for 10 years for the Yi family. Yuanying changed another request. Shadow clan chiefs do hard work for you. Lose what you want. Yekong smiled and patted Yimenying's hand, and said, "Okay, people say that the fellows see the fellows, and they are crying. We are also fellows, so why mention the unpleasant ones? Besides, I take over the mixed UN zone during the time of the Lord. I still remember the great gift you gave me. Also, if you really drive me off the star boat, it is estimated that Elder Yijian will not spare you." Yekong said what was right, and Yumenying had nothing to say, humming, "I'm your life-saving benefactor anyway." "Well, benefactors are up, Ye is down, and we work together to get through it," someone said respectfully. Yimenying raised his eyebrows. "Why am I listening so awkwardly?" At this time, someone with the Yi family name behind came forward and said, "Young master, there are a few star boats of Saint Demon behind." Yimenying and Yekong couldn't bother to fight, and hurried to the back deck, and saw a few stars boats flashing red in the distance and approaching quickly. The visitor is Tu Chajian, who is also a shrewd fellow. After chasing Kuangpeng for a while, he felt something wrong. Tu Chajian thought about it and thought that the star boat of the Yi family was still very suspicious, so he ordered the army to continue to chase Peng Peng, and he brought 4 star boats back to follow the Yi family star boat. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 825. 825 Secret Weapon. Saint Demon's battle star boat is amazingly fast, coming very fast, and soon changed from a small black spot to a large black block. With full eyesight, you can even see the figure on the forward side. "Yi Xingzhou, stop quickly, otherwise don't blame the spar cannon," Tu Chajian's voice came from far away. Unexpectedly so fast, Yimenying showed a frown, and decided at the moment, "Open the Xingzhou shield, go at full speed." The Xingzhou shield is actually a layer of protection. Unlike the protective cover just now, the Xingzhou shield has better defense and can wrap the entire Xingzhou shield. Unlike the protective cover, it only covers the upper part of the star boat. As soon as the Xingzhou shield opened, the entire Xingzhou was wrapped in a thick layer of golden light. From a distance, it seemed as if a golden sun appeared in the sky. "No. They are going to flee. Fire immediately." Tu Chajian saw the intention of Yi Xingzhou, and was no longer polite. Boom! A thick white light beam shot straight at the starboat shield. After a loud noise, the power was unloaded, and the star shield was really amazing. "Accelerate. Southwest." Spar shot from the back deck. Yimenying issued an orderly method. Some people say that men focus on doing things the best. Yekong feels that women are also good looking when they concentrate, especially. Yimenying calmly issued one command after another, as if the heroic female general was very charming. Don't look at the huge appearance of the Yi family star boat, but start at full speed, and the speed is not inferior to the small star boat behind. The only drawback is that this is a starship carrying cargo. The spar cannon is still a bit small, and the firepower is not as fierce as behind. This made Yekong somewhat wonder. In Kangming, Kangming beasts and Kangming pirates are very powerful. Can these star cannons be used to protect the safety of the star boat? However, the Xingzhou shield is indeed very powerful. The spar behind it is bombarded on top. The hull just shakes, it has no effect at all. Seeing his spar cannon was of no use, Tu Chajian's heart burst into a fire and shouted, "Yimenying! Don't think I don't know. The one with the last name Ye is on your boat. You escaped, yes, but the Yi family can't run away. I tell you, the Yi family is going to be unlucky. I will immediately ask the Lord to go back and kill the caravan and personnel of the Yi family." Yimenying, who has always been calm, could not help frowning, although he fled, but if the holy demon sect really did that, the Yi family firm would suffer the disaster. But stopped and handed Yekong out. Not to mention that this is Yi Jian's order, even if she is not willing to sell her fellow villagers. At this time, an old shadow clan stepped forward and said, "Young master, the only way to do this is to kill all the starships behind. There is no proof of death, and there is no way for Saint Demon." Yi Menying's eyes flashed sharply, and he nodded, "Uncle Lu Yu is right, only kill them all." Ye Kong heard their tone, as if killing the 5-star boats behind him with 10 stability. He could not help but look at the 3 spar cannons on the rear deck. With this strength, I am afraid that it will be a bit difficult to kill the 5-star boats behind. Could it be that they still have secret weapons? Ye Kong conjectured. Sure enough, Yi Menying waved his hand, go to the trenches. Fighting room, Ye Kong was a little curious, and didn't ask much, followed Yu Menying and walked into the lower level of Xianxia. The road in the star boat is like a labyrinth, crisscrossed. If you are unfamiliar with the road, you may get lost. The security in Xianxia is also very good. After passing through several channels, each channel has an audition matrix. Yi Menying handed a small jade card and dripped blood to recognize the master before Ye Kong could pass. Ye Kong could not help nodding, this security is really foolproof, even if anyone robbed a piece of jade card cannot mix in. After a brief introduction by Yi Menying on the way, Ye Kong only knew that the so-called trenches were fighting puppets, controlled by monks to fight. These puppets have no life and are not afraid of the harsh conditions in Kangming, so they can easily enter Kangming to block their opponents. Ye Kong thought it was very interesting, and thought, could it be that humans flew out of the trenches to fight against Saint Mozong? That's almost the same as a space fighter. I will have to participate when I wait. It's so exciting. I have played a game console for a long time. But when he came to the trenches, he realized that it was not what he wanted. The monk did not get into the trenches, but the monks transferred a trace of the gods into the trenches and controlled the trenches to fight. This is very interesting, and it is not dangerous. Even if it hangs, it is a hanging trench, and the manipulator is only injured by the Yuan Shen. On the one side of the trench room is a large display array, while on the other side there are 9 trenches. The height and shape are the same as those of a real person. Standing next to each other is like standing with 9 living people. When you look closer, the skin of those trenches is just like humans, and when you look a little further, you can see no difference from real people. Just touching it with my hands, I found that the muscles inside the skin were firm and solid, like metal. I used this one. Ye Kong selected a trench that looked young and pleasing to the eye. But Yu Menying shook his head and said, "No, you can only watch, you cannot participate in the battle. These trenches are very high in level, and they are very spiritually controlled. You have just become docile, and you don't have enough spiritual power to control." Ye Kong insisted on trying. "Just kidding, you can play in the middle of a dan, but I can't play in the early dan? Let me tell you, my brother is playing 5 times as much spiritual power as others in the same level. As for consciousness, I have never been worse than others. Let me give it a try. I think it should be able to be controlled with my consciousness and spiritual power." In fact, Ye Kong was afraid of irritating Yi Menying. There was no word. Yu Menying can control, Ye Kong can control. But Yi Menying was still angry. She always said no one on the star boat, but the boy hit her face to face. She angered, "Is it okay to try this? The 9 trenches here are the hard work of our family for many years. Each one is worthless. We want to make up 10 of them, but if you lose them one, can you afford it?" Ye Kong was despised by her, and was also furious, and immediately released the consciousness of the ancestor Ji Dan to oppress Yu Menying. "Good boy, do you want to fight with me as soon as you get married? I'll give you something awesome." Yu Menying also showed no weakness, and released God's consciousness and Ye Kong Ding. Among the ancestors at the same level, Yi Menying's consciousness is even strong. I thought Ye Kong could not bear it, so Yi Manying used only 80% of his strength. But who knows a pair, they can't know. The other person's consciousness is like a row of mountains and rivers. Even if Yu Manying uses his full strength, he can only retreat steadily. Well, I admit that you have a better sense of knowledge than me. Yi Manying finally softened and scolded in his heart. I haven't seen him for a few years. How did this guy become so strong? Yu Manying gasped and said, but you still can't. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 826. 826 Control Trench. Ye Kong was furious when she heard that. Why do you women look at people? Is someone stubborn and competitive? Well, it's really such a person. Then there is nothing else you can do about it, Ye Kong asked in an air of pressure. Yi Manying said patiently, this maneuvering trench battle is a little different from his own fighting. It requires a certain amount of maneuverability. Sometimes, the reaction is slightly slower than his own action. It doesn't matter, I used to play game consoles, Ye Kong interrupted. Yi Manying is already in a row of black lines in her head. She is not letting Ye Kong try. The key is that this trench is too precious. The Yi family firm does not know how many years it took and how many spiritual stones it took to receive the trenches. Fragments, and a large number of skilled craftsmen were hired, which resulted in 9 pieces. If one was damaged, there were no parts. At that moment, Lu Yu, the old man of the Shadow clan, came out and said, young master, let Ye Daiyu try it. I believe Ye Daiyu is decent. Yi Manying felt that Ye Kong couldn't take the risk to try, but Ye Kong's words stood against her. How about Yi Xiaozu? Would you like to bet? Yu Manying suddenly thought of the gamble that was in Ling Yaoshan for a while. At that time, she said that Ye Kong would not build a foundation, and now people even end up with Dan, and Yi Manying dare not gamble again. Leaving a white eye, Yi Manying said, be careful with me. Ye Daiyu, stand in, and listen to my arrangements when you meet the old man named Lu Yu said. Ye Kong nodded to him, begging him to rest assured, and then stood in the formation of the trenches. When controlling trenches, one cannot be disturbed, although everyone has a layer of formation around him. At this time Lu Yu said, the formation method is activated. The 9-top formation was raised at the same time, enclosing all 9 people in the formation. Then Lu Yu said, put a spirit stone into the trenches. Ye Kong turned around and saw Yi Manying sneer at himself. He understood it again, and it turned out that Yu Manying and several other Shadow Clan members had taken out some top-quality spirit stones. Bully me? Forgot to tell you, buddies are now billionaires. Ye Kong took out a large number of spirit stones and displayed them a bit. Then he put the spirit stones into the groove on the top of the trench. The 9 trenches started immediately, the energy of the top-grade spirit stone was quickly extracted, and the trenches opened their eyes one by one. At this time, Ye Kong could feel their realm. Ye Kong doesn't know how high the realm is, but he is only the ancestor of Dandan. Above the Dandan, he can only feel strong and weak, he can't feel the realm accurately. It is estimated that each of these trenches has passed the deification period, and it feels differently powerful. After the trenches' eyes opened, they raised their hands one by one and saw a flash of Guanghua in their hands. Their respective weapons appeared. There were swords, and guns. The trenches controlled by Ye Kong turned out to be double-handed swords. Looks like a cow fork. Lu Yu's voice rang out of the field. Ye Daiyu, this equipment is being cleaned up, and Yuan Shen will be transferred immediately. At that time, you can completely control the trenches. You can also feel his strength and various abilities. You have about half a cup of tea to get familiar with, and then you will be driven out of the star boat. Ye Kong nodded and motioned for everything. Lu Yu asked again, are you all ready? Later, Ye Kong felt his eyes dark, and when he opened his eyes again, he suddenly realized that he had become a tranche, but his true puppet was standing beside him. At this time, he was the trenches, and the trenches were him, already united. He looked down at himself, stretched his arms, and two flying swords appeared in his hands. With a wave of his hands, the flying sword disappeared again. Yekong could clearly feel that the flying sword was hiding under his ribs. He looked at his cultivation again. Oh my God! After the transformation of the gods, it will be refining the virtual, and after refining the virtual, it will be a fit. This trench is so powerful. It is no wonder that the star boat of the Yi family company is unobstructed in Yunyeo. There are 9 trenches of the combined period. At this time, Imanying was heard saying, "Everyone pays attention, this time the other party is the holy demon section. Although the trenches are far better than them, the trenches are still monks, and they also use spiritual power. Please be careful. Their 5 elements extinct the light in order to destroy the protective cover of their starboat." Yes, the crowd promised in unison, and Yekong responded, "Yes. Let's go." With a command from Yimenying, the 9 trenches were immediately teleported. Yekong blinked in front of his eyes, and found that he was already standing on a large platform on the right side of Xianxia. This platform was usually hidden in Xianxia, and it was opened only when the trenches were out. The position was very hidden. Open the bodyguard. Yimenying was manipulating a woman's trench, and when she saw the light outside her body, she was immediately enveloped by golden light. Then, the other trenches also lighted up, one by one. Out of the protection scope of Xianxia shield, hover in Kangming. Yekong also followed suit. Standing in space, I feel so small and vast, I do not know how many miles, the jewel-like stars in the distance, and how many light years. I am afraid I see a reach it for a lifetime. The surroundings were extremely empty, and he moved his hands and feet. He could hear the sound of clicking in the joints, and then his divine knowledge was released. This is an extremely powerful divine knowledge, the of the fit monk recognition, like the sea, comes out through the body, scanning in all directions, up and down, left and right, and thousands of miles away, is completely inductive. There is no aura and air in Kangming, but Yekong can feel the tiny and sharp airflows. Although the airflow is small, it is very powerful. This is the so-called space turbulence. Yekong thought so. In fact, he didn't see anything, it was just a kind of induction, a sense of the fit monk's consciousness. His sight was blocked by the starboat, but the situation of the Saint Demon starboat was unobstructed. The 5 starboats were desperately firing spirit stone cannons. On the first starboat, Tu Chujen's face was so clear. He could sense even a few beards. At this time, Yimenying commanded again, "We surround them from the back, don't let them find out, first solve the back, number 123 against the left side, number 456 against the right side, number 7 and 8 follow me support." After Yimenying finished speaking, he said to Yekondeo, "You are number 7 and I am number 9, and you will follow me right away." Yekong replied, "Okay." Then all 9 trenches took action. Because they were afraid that the Saint Demon starship would escape, they had to go around a large circle and detour to the back of the Saint Demon starship before launching an attack. Yekong followed Yimenying in the Kangming. The feeling of running was very special. Although there was a void under his feet, it was normal to run, which was almost the same as walking on flat ground. He ran faster and faster, and when out of the field of vision of the holy demon sect and others, he made a robust tumbling leap while throwing out his 2 swords. By the time he fell, he had stepped firmly on the 2 swords, stepped on a flying sword, turned into a streamer, and flew to the back of the Saint Demon Sovereign like a meteor. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 827. The Battle of the Starboat. The feeling of controlling the trenches is very good. This is a feeling of being mastered for 5,000 miles. This is a feeling of powerful power. Moreover, Yekong uses the repair of the Dandan period to control the power of the Fit period. This pair of leaves the practice in the future is also very useful. The feeling of flying in the Kangming is also very refreshing. This is an experience that Ye unprecedentedly has not experienced in this life. It is free and unlimited. He was ruthless in secret, and one day I would have such a powerful force to run freely in the Kangming. Seeing Yi Jiaxing Zhou getting slower and slower, Tu Chajian thought that Yi Man was scared. Haha laughed. In the end, the Yi family business is some businessmen. The characteristics of businessmen seeking wealth are doomed to their wealth and justice. Haha, Yekong, you were sold by them. Tu Chajian laughed proudly. Yekong was the first person he noticed, so he was promoted to the ambassador. I thought that the capital I had taken from Yekong was enough, but I did not expect the opportunity to come again. I practiced for a year and came across this Yekong again. Hey, boy, I was relying on you to become the ambassador, and today I still want to seize you and give me a greater status in the Holy Demon. Attention each ship, spread out on my sides, stop the spar cannon, prepare to board the ship for inspection, be vigilant, and prevent fraud. Tu Chajian issued the order one by one, and he also thought that the Yi family might have fraud, but did not expect to have the heart of killing here. The two star boats that the trenches were prepared to deal with just wanted to speed up to catch up with the main star boat, but unexpectedly there was a loud noise overhead, and the whole star boat was shaking with trembling. What's going on? I don't see any meteorite. The man on the star boat didn't feel the danger coming. Boom, a violent shock came from the tail of the star boat, as if the ship on the sea hit the reef. What the is this? The captain of this starship, the deputy saint, made Dongfangyu growl. A disciple of Saint Demon sect looked in front of seeing Zhou in horror. He couldn't speak, and pulled only Dongfangyu's clothes. Dongfangyu looked up and saw three figures floating in the sky in front of seeing Zhou. One on the left was holding a machete, the other on the right was holding a three-pointer, and the middle one was holding nothing. All three were Jingguancancan, like heaven and earth. Fairy, those disciples wanted to bow their heads and kneel. Dongfangyu kicked him angrily. What fairy? This is an enemy attack, the spirit stone cannon blasts me. The tremors number 1, 2, and 3 that appeared in front of him would give them time to activate the cannon. I saw number 3 holding a machete, leaping violently, and falling, and his body drawn a parabola in Kangming. Number 3 lifted the knife with both hands and chopped off the force of Huashan. Boom! The huge blade of light slashed in front of the star boat, and the people in the earthquake boat were standing steadily, but the star boat propelled by the spirit stone was actually cut back 100 meters. Not good. They are too strong, please ask the main star boat to support it, Dongfangyu hurriedly issued an order. But it's too late at this moment, the number 3 knife split has just ended, and the number 2 shuddering iron gun has arrived again. The gun is the king of weapons, and its power is amazing. Gunners have countless heroes since ancient times. The same is true of the immortal. Although the gun-type weapon is not the king of the weapon, it can be used to break the battlefield, which is the best choice. Dead, fighting number 2 rushed forward with a gun and came near, only to hold the gun and lunge forward. The tip of the gun immediately emitted a white light with the thickness of a finger, and the white light was continuous, as if a thin fountain stood against the star boat. Captain, no good. The protective cover is quickly draining spirits. Ah, Dongfangyu was panicked. He didn't expect that the people outside were so powerful that with the magic weapon, he could actually consume the energy of the entire star boat's protective cover. Captain, it's not good, the spirit is in a hurry. Hurry up and change the spirit stone. That's too late. Boom. The stunning shot of number 2 trenches completely broke the protective cover on this star boat. After a loud noise, the star boat's red fruit was exposed, and the people on the star boat appeared without reservation. Space turbulence and various cosmic rays. The disciples of the Holy Demon sect are not high level, and the ambassador is not in the infancy. On the star boat, there is no priest. Let's die, the number one in the middle finally shot. He had no weapons. His whole body was a weapon. I saw him suddenly become several times bigger, as if King Kong was standing in the void. He flew up, and the small star boat rolled like a piece of broken wood, and fell into the boundless deep of the deep. In the same way, a star boat over there was a big mold. Under the attack, the interior of the star boat broke down. Not only the protective cover, but also the power was lost. The only thing waiting for them was death. Yekong looked at them with such great power, and his heart was eager to try. Nai Yumening's task was to support him and prevent other star boats from escaping. However, the opportunity to shoot soon came behind the two star boats were defeated. The movement was so big, even Tu Chujen found that the fool was wrong. He then knew that Yi Jiaxing slowed down not to wait for inspection, but to wipe them out. The strength of the Yi family is not so weak on the surface. An enemy attack. There is an enemy attack. Attention of the other two star boats. Everyone is running away. Tu Chujen issued an order, and at the same time, his star boat was angled and fled. Tu Chujen, you can't escape. Yekong's long-awaited opportunity finally appeared. He rushed under his feet, and when he raised his hand, a flying sword was spinning, hitting Tu Chujen's star boat like a windmill. 7th, be careful of his 5-element extinction light, Yi Mening urged, chasing after another fleeing star boat. Sure enough, Tu Chujen was unwilling to show weakness during the escape. He ran to the tail of the star boat and applied the 5 elements extinction light to Yekong behind him. At the same time, all the spiritual stone cannons of the star boat turned their muzzles and shot at Yekong. I saw several white lights coming face to face, and Yekong didn't dare to fix it. After all, this thing seemed very expensive. Even if he hurt a finger, Yi Mening would desperately follow him. Hi, Yekong yelled, sideways avoiding the extinction of the 5 elements. It was another clever tumbling, letting another spirit stone cannon pass. When he stood still slightly, he reached out and pointed out the flying sword in front of him. Tu Chujen was so busy hitting Yekong that he didn't notice that Fijian crossed a precise arc in midair and hit the starboard side. Here. With Yekong's deep drink, Fijian slammed on the side of Seeing Joe fiercely. Boom, Xiu Wei during the fit period was really overbearing. When he struck Fijian, he shook the star boat hard, and Tu Chujen was very unstable on the boat. While they were stabilizing their bodies, Yekong was another tiger leap. This leap in Kangming was very distant, and he did not know how to jump a few hundred meters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 828. The Battle of the Starboat. Yeah, Yekong's feet have been firmly standing on the protective cover of the star deck behind the boat, and under the protective cover are the horrified eyes of Tu Chujen and a saint demon. Tu Chujen, let's die. Yekong stretched out his hand to take the flying sword, held the sword with both hands, and pointed the sword downward, ready to insert into the protective cover and take Tu Chujen's life directly. But Tu Chujen shouted, slow. You can't kill me, I'm hostage. Yekong froze for a while, and saw 2 Shadow Clan members, one male and one female, being taken out, and the 2 were brothers and sisters in Shue's Huang and Swibingning. Tu Chujen quickly walked over, holding Shui Bingning's neck and smirking, this senior, kill me, these 2 Shadow Clan people will also die. The senior still report to your patriarch Yekong, these 2 are him good friend. Although Shui Lishuang and Shui Bingning had their mouths closed, their hearing was still there. They heard that Yekong was the patriarch, and they all stared in surprise. Tu Chujen didn't know that this person was really Yekong, otherwise he would be even more arrogant. But now he is so proud of it. I didn't expect it, but I'm wise, Bringing these two people, I didn't expect it to be really useful. At this time, others had destroyed the other star boats and all came around. 7th, come back, Ye Menying ordered. Yekong tiptoe a little starboat protective cover, flew back. 9 trenches surrounded the starboat group. Tu Chujen's fierce appearance revealed, and he shouted, "Let us go. Otherwise I will kill the 2 shadow people first." Ye Menying was annoyed. He used to think Yekong was decisive. How did he drop the chain for 2 unrelated people today? 7th, what's going on? Ye Menying asked. The 2 are my friends. Yekong's character is like this. He has no mercy towards the enemy or the enemy, no matter how much he asks him, he will not give the other party a chance. For relatives or friends, he paid great attention and did not want them to be hurt a little for himself. He had already detected his weakness in the 5 elements formation. Your friend, Ye Menying frowned, and waved his hand. Will you abandon the hostage? Everyone vote. I support it. Give up. Give up. Give up. Except for Yekong, all 8 others gave up. After all, the hostages below have nothing to do with them. Take a step back and say that even if they do, they still have to give up. Everyone understands the reason of giving up 2 people in exchange for the safety of the Yi family. But Yekong couldn't agree. This is his friend. Everyone has traveled so long together, and the relationship is very harmonious. The most important thing is that when Yekong didn't dare to show up, Xueswining was also quietly sending him the Yi family business. The grace of dripping water must also be reported to the spring. I don't agree, Yekong said. The minority obeys the majority, Ye Menying answered coldly. No, your voting decision is wrong. You have no right to decide their life and death. Everyone has the right to live, Yekong exclaimed. Yuman was annoyed, really annoyed, and shouted, "This is what happened. What do you say? Do you let these people escape? How many brothers and sisters of the Yi family caravan are going to be killed? You do nt have nothing to do stop us? Get out. Don't worry, I may have a way, anyway, until the end, I will never give up. Because they are my friends, and it is because of me." After Yekong finished speaking, he turned back to Tu Chujen and shouted, "I asked Yekong just now. He said that he would exchange these 2 with himself. Do you agree?" Tu Chujen is overjoyed. There are such stupid people in the world who use their own to change the lives of others. Yekong is worth 10 million times more than these 2 people. Agree, of course agree, but you don't want to play tricks, otherwise everyone will die together, Tu Chujen shouted nervously. Then you wait, I'll go back and bring Yekong. Watching number 7 trenches flew back to Yi family Xianxia, Ye Menying was stunned. The boy thought about this kind of stubborn idea for a long time. Yekong, do you really want to trade them? You want to be clear, Ye Menying followed closely. Yekong nodded. That's right. Only then can I get close to Tu Chujen and resolve the matter satisfactorily. Ye Menying said angrily, but this is very dangerous. That Tu Chujen is also very savvy. He won't understand your purpose. He will definitely take precautions. Is it worth it? It's worth it. Even if there is only a 1% chance, I will pay 100% of the effort. They are my friends. I can't see the dead. I am just such a person and cannot be changed. Yekong with a smile, jumped on the platform of Ujia Xianxia. Ye Menying watched his back disappear, and all the anger in his heart was swept away, and it was moved by him instead. Being his friend is really a happy thing. If there is such a friend, he will be willing even if he is dead. After a while, Yekong and number 7 both appeared on the platform. At this moment, Yekong Yu and Shen returned to the throne, and Lu Yu, the old male of the clan, took over on the 7th. Wait for you not to disturb, I will protect you with the protection enchantment, even when I immediately start to Tu Chujen. You also do nt want to mess around, you know, without the protection of the enchantment, in Kangming, you are a death. Lu Yu talked endlessly while covering Yekong with a protective enchantment. Unlike Yi Manying, Lu Yu thought Yekong's strategy was feasible. Taking advantage of the hostage exchange, shot and killed Tu Chuzhen. The trenches are already in a period of integration, and Tu Chuzhen, who has to deal with a meta-infant, has a great success rate. Lu Yu cast Yekong a layer of golden mask, pulled Yekong to jump out of the platform, and went straight to the starboat Tu Chuzhen not far away. Yi Menying followed silently. Soon, the three returned, and Tu Chuzhen was so happy that he could bring Yekong back. What reward should the Lord give himself? However, Tu Chuzhen was not stunned. He was very clear that when the hostages were exchanged, it was likely that when the opponents shot, the other 9 were highly trained. If they did, they would have no chance. Lu Yu grabbed Yekong and asked from a distance, "Can we start?" Tu Chuzhen shouted in the protective cover, "Only one person can carry Yekong." Okay, Lu Yugong just wanted to step out, but was pulled back by Yi Menying. "I'm here," Yi Menying said. Yi Menying added a layer of protection to Yekong again. Lu Yu then let go of his hand. There must be no trouble between the two hands. Even if Yekong was exposed to death in Kangming, it would cause him great damage. A few steps towards the Saint Demon Sovereign, Yi Menying could not help asking, "You say, are we friends?" Of course not. Yekong didn't even want to answer. Yi Menying only felt a little disappointed in his heart. "Yes, I have known each other for so long. The two parties have only made a few transactions. Most of them have not been successful. Most importantly, they have threatened him. How can you be a friend?" The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 829. Under the Battle of the Starboat. Although Yi Menying thinks this way, she still feels very disappointed, and even hates someone. It's okay to say something false. Why is it so sad? But then someone heard a smile again. "You have lost your bet, you are my accomplice, of course you are not friends." "What are you talking about? I told Lihiza that it wasn't countable." "Lihiza isn't Yekong. If he says it, he doesn't say it." "You rogue." The two said to go forward, and soon stood in front of the Saint Demon Sovereign. "Stop," Tu Chuzhen shouted, "you are not allowed to come over. Throw Yekong over me." Tu Chuzhen was really cunning, and disrupted Yekong's plan. Most importantly, doing so is very dangerous for Yekong. Yi Menying shook his head and said, "No. As soon as I release my hand, the protection enchantment will disappear, and he cannot fight against the chaos of space." "Then you go away," Tu Chuzhen laughed hysterically. "Yekong, you go back." "I changed my mind. I'm going to die with your friends." "Is it fun to watch your friends die?" Yekong busy said, "No. Do as you say. Throw it over." "No," Yi Menying shouted. If Yekong was thrown out, the other party did not open the protective cover in time, Yekong would probably die in Kangming. "Trust me." Yekong pinched Yi Menying's hand, looked at his eyes, and nodded solemnly. Up to now, Yi Menying has no choice but to roar, "Tu Chuzhen, he has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, and he will take your life." After Yi Menying said, he threw Yekong out. Bang, Yekong fell on the protective cover on Xianxia. Tu Chuzhen did not open the protective cover, and the golden protective nodule on Yekong's body quickly disappeared, and he was completely exposed to Kangming. Tu Chuzhen, you must die. Yi Menying thought about it immediately. But Yekong waved his hand, "Don't come over." Tu Chuzhen laughed, "Yekong, you are so stupid. Do you think I will be assured if you are alone? Rest assured that you will not die, and I will let you go when you have repaired everything or suffered serious injuries. Come in." Looking at Yekong in pain and lying outside the protective cover above his head, ruthlessly illuminated by cosmic rays. Both Xue Huang and Xue Bingning felt sorrowful in their hearts. If they could speak, they would yell, "Don't worry about us, kill this bastard." But Xue Bingning was suddenly surprised to find that someone in pain was squeezing her eyes, and at the same time, a voice passed into her ears, "Don't resist." At the same time, Xue Huang heard this voice. The next moment, the frost and snow ice in the snow flickered and disappeared strangely. Tu Chujian's laughter suddenly broke, and his complexion looked like death. Then a smirk appeared on his face. "I forgot you had auxiliary space, but what about this? You will die in the space immediately, and when they do, they will die." Ye Kong, who was very distressed just now, was looking upright. When he stood up, he shrugged his clothes just like anyone else, relaxed and free, and asked Tu Chujian under his feet, "Who said I would die? You are stupid. I believe in acting." Tu Chujian took a step back and was shocked. "Impossible. Impossible. You have just become Dan, how can you stand in Kangming like this?" Not only Tu Chujian, but Yi Menying and the other 8 Shadow Clan people were shocked. How could Ye Kong stand so easily in Kangming? Even in the trenches of the Fit period, the protection enchantment must be used, but Ye did not even open the spiritual shield, so he stood casually. Yi Menying said, "Oh my god, is he a Kangming beast?" But Tu Chujian understood it. "I know, it's the film. The transparent film. Well, smart people, but 2 smart people live shortly." Ye Kong sighed coldly, raised his hand, and a dark sword appeared suddenly. "I haven't killed anyone since I became Dan. Let me show you the strength of my ancestor." Yeah, Ye Kong held the night dance, plunged into the protective cover of Xianxia, and the blade was just above the heads of the disciples of Saint Demon Sect, scaring their faces. Tu Chujian called in panic, "Don't panic. Attack him. Kill him." He immediately used the 5 elements to extinct the light, but it was useless. With that layer of film blocking, the light could not hit the leaves at all. "Look at my demon eyes." Tu Chujian was unable to make a plan and made another plan. Ye was annoyed, "Boy, you have forgotten one thing, I still have a flying sword that ignores defense." Go, Shen Biwi's golden sword spit out, breaking through the defense easily, beheading Tu Chujian, and destroying Yuan Ying. A slick goblin rolled down. The other holy demons crowded, turned around and left. Ye Kong pulled the night dance, as if cutting a steel plate, and saw the flames outside the protective cover. After a while, a large opening was cut, then Ye Kong jumped down, picked up the demon eyes and began to clear the field. I saw Ye jumped in. Then, someone was thrown out from the mouth. There were living and dead. Anyway, in Kangming, their final result was only 1 death. Yi Menying and the other 8 trenches were stunned, thinking in their hearts, "God. Is NT Shinu? It's too fierce. Dare to be more bullish than our trenches." One person solved a starboat so that Lu Yu whispered, "Master, shouldn't he really be a dark beast?" Inside the pipa beads, Zhu Lingfei was slowly entertaining the 2 guests, and he screamed loudly above his head, "Everyone be careful, the big guy is here, don't get smashed into your head." Then I heard a boom, a huge guy came down from the sky and smashed the ground into a big pit. God, it turned out to be a starboat. Ye Kong, the kid, even got the starboat back. Zhu Lingfei couldn't help but think, did this guy get me a boat because I like Xianxia? Ye Kong certainly didn't take StarCraft back for her. He was thinking that if he returned to Kangnan in the future, could he also form an interstellar team? However, unfortunately, one of the 5 Saint Demon star boats was kicked, 1 was taken away by him, and 3 were dragged to their big star boat by the Yi family. Hey, this is the star boat of Saint Demon section. If you have trouble using it, you might as well give it to me. Someone followed Yi Menying back to the inside of the star boat, and kept talking about it. Yi Menying yelled, "Are you stupid when we are? We won't change our face? If we do and take it apart and sell it as a part, we can sell a lot of spirits. Besides, you retake it, we retake it, what's wrong with this? Yi Manying is really smart. The two spoke and came to a room inside Xianxia. Yi Manying said, "This is your room. You can go in to rest or meditate. There is a rattle in it and there is something to ring the bell. Don't walk around in the starboat. Otherwise, we can get lost." Yi Manying said as she walked to her room, and her room was not far from Yekong. But when she wanted to open the door, she found that someone was following. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 830. Origins of the 83-0 Tranche. What? Interested in my boudoir, Yi Manying smiled slyly. If it was another woman, Yekong might have to make fun of it, but Yi Manying was so savvy, Yekong was still a little afraid to provoke her. So Yekong shook his head honestly, "No, I just have a lot of things to ask you." Yi Manying nodded, presumably the boy wanted to ask about the situation in Kangnan. It happened that Yi Manying also wanted to ask him something, so he opened the door and let him in. Although it is a woman's boudoir, this room is basically the same as other monks' rooms. It's very simple. There is no bed, only the formations, futons, small tables, and other necessary supplies for monks. The only thing that has girls' characteristics is the dressing table on the side of the room. After all, girls are beautiful. The two sat down cross-legged on the futons on both sides of the small table, and Yi Manying shook the small copper bell on the table. Soon someone sent in tea. Yekong looked around and laughed. The environment here is still very good, it's just too monotonous, and if it's not the dresser, I really can't see this is a girl's room. Yi Manying picked up Lingcha and smiled with a self-deprecating smile. "So what do you think is a girl's room? Is there a needle and thread read? Or a piano, calligraphy, and painting?" Yekong laughed, "Or put some rag dolls." Oh, Yi Manying laughed. Then a pair of big eyes like Gyashui looked at Yekong and asked, "I came out at the age of 16 to manage the business of Xingzhou and Kangnan. If you say, this boat will more than 300 people obey a little girl?" At this moment, followed by the soft light of the moonlight stone, Yekong saw a faintness and weakness in her eyes. Indeed, a girl who is just 16 years old will have to carry the burden of the family. Regarding such a group of big men and a big business, Yi Manying is also tragic. Everyone sees her infinite scenery, and who sees it the bitterness behind her. Perhaps it was the look in Yekong's eyes that Yi Manying immediately restored her strong and shrewd nature. "Why? Sympathize with me? Sympathize with me and let me take the starship you took for me," Yi Manying laughed. "You want to be beautiful? That's my life." Yekong laughed and cursed. Yi Manying followed, "We are all so worried about it. We never thought you were so powerful. Hey, why can you stand in Kangming? I haven't even thought about it yet." She had been quietly exploring Yekong's words, but Ye was not a good stubble. He laughed, "What kind of me is a little trick? It's because your trenches are really powerful. I'm curious about that. Where did it come from?" Yi Manying laughed. "You sly fox, you didn't answer what I asked, but asked me instead." Yekong also laughed, "Everyone and each other. In fact, I like to chat with real people, and chat with you is really uncomfortable." Yi Manying laughed and laughed, "It's the same. I also like to deal with real people." Immediately, both foxes laughed. Everyone laughed and the relationship was close. Yi Manying first said, "In fact, it is not impossible to tell you about the trenches. These trenches are the guardhouses of the 5 elements Xianfu, but they were destroyed in the ancient fairy war, so our Yi family firm spent a lot of money. Buy the broken parts from the treasure hunters in the 5 elements fairy house, and then ask a skilled craftsman to stitch those parts together." Yi Manying took a sip of water and said, "As the treasure hunter enters again and again, These fragments are becoming less and less, and they are scattered all over the five elements fairy house, so it is getting harder and harder to find. It was only 1,000 years before I joined Qi these 9 trenches, how expensive they are, which is why I did not let you control them before. This is the nth time that Yekong has heard the name of the five elements celestial mansion. It seems that Yunyeo's valuable babies and good things are from that. How many good things have flowed from the five elements fairy house during the 100,000 year and 200-year opening day? Is it really an inexhaustible treasure house? In addition, the trenches guarded by the five elements of the Xianfu are the cultivation practices during the Fit period, so what is the master of the Xianfu cultivation? I dare not imagine. It's your turn, Yi Menying said, holding up the teacup, waiting for Yekong to answer the question. What's up with me? Yekong Li was still thinking about the Wuxing Xianfu, and after a moment's understanding, he understood Yi Menying's meaning. Oh, why can I stand in Kangming unharmed? That's because of this. Yi Menying noticed that a transparent film appeared. The film slowly climbed to the small table. Yi Menying stretched out a jade finger and felt it. It was found that the film was very light, very thin, and completely transparent. What is this? Yi Menying asked. Yekong shook his head. I don't know what it is. Obviously Yi Menying was not satisfied with this answer. A little discomfort appeared on her face and said, you asked me about the trenches, I told you all in good faith, but I asked you, but I got perfunctory. Yekong smiled bitterly, I really don't know. Well, then I will tell you how this thing came from. This thing started to become a refined land, and then I kept feeding it to eat the spirit stone, and it became that's it. Oh, yes, Yi Man nodded. The reason she told the trenches candidly was that there were very few pieces of trenches in the Wuxing Xianfu, and Yekong could not get them. And Yekong's film is also beyond her reach. Xiang is already extinct, and it is difficult to find another one in this industry. The two still had no advantage. The savvy people met the savvy people. Yi Menying thought and laughed again. What's laughing? Yekong didn't have as many thoughts as she did, and asked again, how long do we have to go back this time? Is it going back to Kangnan directly on a starboat? In fact, Yekong also had doubts. If he really traveled back to Kangnan by starboat, then the movement must be not small. For so many years, how did the Yi family realize that God did not know the ghosts and blinded the people on both sides of Kangnan and Yunyeo? What about it? This is a question that leaves Yekong confused. There are so many monks in Yunyeo, true monarchs and monks with great magical powers. Why can't these people go to Kangnan, but only Yi family? Also, even if the Yi family knows any secret passage or secret route, why hasn't it leaked at all for thousands of years? Yi Menying didn't want to answer this question for a while. She laughed. 3 months later, you will naturally know. Yekong nodded. It seems that this voyage has been for at least 3 months, well, but you have to give me the coordinates of the astrolabe in the current exact position, and a friend of mine has to hitch a boat. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 831. Kangnan's situation. I heard Yekong said that there are other people who want to get on the starboat. Yi Menying's face changed color immediately, and he said angrily, no. It's not at all. Are you really ordinary on our route? Can anyone go on board? This is our Yi family. The biggest secret of the company for thousands of years. If it were not for the request of Elder Yi Jian, I would never reveal anything to you, but you still have to bring other people. That is not acceptable to me. Yekong nodded and said, I understand your concerns, but I can guarantee that he will never leak it out, because he has successfully completed the Mahayana period and may break through at any time, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Yumenying heard that the Comer had a great Mahayana period, and was surprised that his red lips were slightly stretched and he couldn't close. The Mahayana period was a great success, and it was only one step away from the immortals. 9 trenches were dispatched together, and they were not opponents. Yumenying calmed down and said, "Yekong, I want to remind you that the level of cultivation of immortals in Kangnan is much weaker. If you take such a monk back, it will inevitably cause great confusion. No, in fact he is not going to Kangnan. Listen to me tell a story." Yekong told the story of Kuangpeng and Lingziqiu, and Yumenying listened very well. It turned out so, well, for their last part, I let him get on board. Yumenying agreed. In fact, she was kind words, she had the strength of Kuangpeng, and she did not dare to agree. Yekong nodded and picked up the Lingcha, then said slowly, "The other day, Wang Tingshi, the Corpsean sect, accidentally entered Kangbei, and planted the of Yamamoto Jianren for half a year. Then he took Kangnan denominations to explore Kang. I spent 3 months in the north. Then I spent more than half a year in the Kangbei Demon District. I came to Yunyeo and lived in the iron painting realm for 1.5 years. Alas, time is running out. I have been away from Kangnan for 5 years, 5 years. Yekong sighed a long time. He was away from Kangnan for 5 years, and left his old lady and Luchin Xiaohong for a longer time, as well as Zhang Weihai who stayed in Yunfuzong, and the most concerned Lianrulan. They all returned all right. Tell me something, what has happened in Kangnan in the past 5 years, Yekong asked, but he was very worried, afraid that something bad would happen. Yumenying nodded and said, cultivation has no sun and moon. 5 years have just passed away, but in the past 5 years, many things have happened. There are many things. What do you think I should say first? Let's talk about the Kangbei channel of the dead Yinzong first. Yekong thought about it. Okay, Yuman nodded and began to recall, when a lot of your people came back, although there were a lot of injuries, the harvest was good. Some disciples have recovered the treasures that Kangnan does not have. And some very rare spirit beasts were collected, and some people even found the spirit stone mine, and the most unscrupulous brought back a lot of beasts. Speaking of this, Yumenying laughed, the entire market at that time the zodiacs are cheap, so let's buy a lot. Yekong nodded, Kangnan was a cultivator of immortals, and beasts were used less. And Yunyeo is all a demon repairer. If the beast is trafficked to Yunyeo, the Yi family will really make a lot of money. Yekong laughed, you have made a lot of money, and those monks have made a lot of money. Presumably, the major factions in Kangnan will not miss the opportunity to get rich, and continue to explore Kangbei. Yumenying laughed, of course. After all the denominations combined, since there is no demon behind the absolute barrier, simply open the transmission channel completely and let the Yuanying monk pass. So the big treasure trove started. Major factions sent Yuanying monks to lead Kangbei to look for riches, and many of them set up Kangbei branch. In the meantime, in order to grab the veins of spirits, several major factions were reorganized. After playing for a year, we finally made a concession, and everyone defined the area. Yekong couldn't help but sigh, none of these old guys are good things, and if they have some interests, they will fight for you. Yumenying laughed, but they haven't had a few days. You know, the ground is the ranch of the Emperor of the Upper Realm, there are a few monks' activities, even the Emperor, but they settled in with such fanfare. Hunting and killing spirit beasts everywhere, mining spirit stone mines, and also fought. Lingshao Mountain also captured the young animals released by the Emperor. The Eastern Emperor was finally furious, and personally went down to the people of the Kangbei branch of the spirit beast. All of them are killed, and even Elder Yuanying's royal beast is dead. Yekong couldn't help but sigh, he wanted to besieged by the corpse Yinzong in the mixed Yuan zone, and he was fighting alongside Yu. The immortal really treats mortals as ants, and kills if you want to kill, Without mercy Yekong could not help but sigh. Yi Manying said, I heard that if it wasn't for the little princess of the Eastern Emperor at that time, all the major denominations in Kangbei would be bad. Speaking of the little princess of the Eastern Emperor, Yekong couldn't help but remember the scene of that year. If it wasn't for the princess sitting in the car to stop it, the immortal named Gu Yueyang will surely kill himself. Most of this is the princess, and it seems that conscience is still good. But Yekong thought again, why did he feel a little familiar when he heard the voice of that little princess? Yekong regained his mind and asked, what about later? Yi Menying said, later the Eastern Emperor ordered that all personnel must withdraw from Kangbei and dismantle the passage to never invade the Emperor's ranch or kill the entire clan. The old guys of the major factions did not dare to say anything, all of them withdrawed, everything went back to normal. Yekong said, this immortal emperor is also powerful enough. When people go to his ranch and turn around, they will destroy the gate of Renzong and break the lineage. Yi Menying sighed, the immortals regard the people in the lower world as ants, but what is it to kill them? But the Eastern Emperor is not a generation. Later, his anger subsided, he went to the lower world again, and summoned the major factions in Kangnan. I talked to you once, and it was considered a thin face for the major factions. Oh! This Eastern Emperor's behavior was normal before, but why should he personally lower the boundary to each face? This is a little strange, Yekong asked suspiciously. Yi Menying said, the major denominations also couldn't figure out at first. The immortal emperor's existence in the immortal world was also over 10,000 people. There is no need to give face to the people in the lower world. Later, some people thought of a sentence that the emperor once said in the seat. Yekong busy asked, what is it? At that time, the emperor of the east side, I wanted to be a guest when Zikang was first established and everything was not born. Later, when it was extremely prosperous here, I visited again several times, but I didn't expect it to be like this now. I came here, I think of my deceased. Yekong wondered, what do you mean? Yi Menying yelled, it's very clear. Xiandi and a senior of Zikang Xing are friends. They used to come here often. That's why they gave face to the people in the nether. He came to care about the old people, by the way. They don't understand. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 832. 832 Crazy. Yekongdeo said, I understand these. I'm asking who the deceased is. Friends of Xiandi, are they extraordinary in strength? Yi Menying shook his head and said, how can I know, Xiandi doesn't say it, and other people dare not ask. But then, Yi Menying said here, revealing a very strange expression, and looked at Yekong secretly. It seems that there is nothing to say but dare not say. Yekong noticed, but he really couldn't think of the relationship between Xiandi and him. Speaking of what emperor sees me? Yekong asked with a brow in doubt, what happened later? Could it be related to me? Yi Menying quickly waved his hand, no, nothing happened later, well, there was someone later, well, guess that the emperor's deceased person must be a woman, because, well, then the emperor happened to encounter his own bloodline. Offspring. Ah. There is such a thing, Kangnan actually has descendants of Emperor Xian, which family is it? Yi Menying said, in fact, it's a person, it's a Xiu nun. Well, I don't know the details of it. In short, Xiandi said that the blood of Xiandi in that nun's body is very good, so she took her to the fairy world. Yekong sighed, it's a different life. How can I not meet an ancestor of the immortal class? Take me to the immortal world, and fly directly, envy, envy. Yi Menying said, if you tell the name of the nun, you will not be envious. If you are afraid, you will go crazy. Forget it, don't send it on your sister's boat if you want to go crazy, you are the unlucky of plague, I'm really scared of you. Yekong asked again, What about the mixed Yuan Zone Yunfuzong Spirit Medicine Mountain? Yu Menying knew that he wanted to ask Ling Yaoshan the most, and laughed, let us do that. The mixed Yuan Zone Kun Long has no head, you are not there, the 4 big Yuan infants are struck inside, 2 are killed, and another one is beaten when they go to the battlefield in Kangbei the bad body. Fortunately, Yuan Ying escaped and bought a new body with the dead Yin sect to recultivate. Now there is a Yuan Ying Li Haoshan, but his strength is getting weaker and weaker, and he is about to be squeezed out of 18 gates. Ye Kong was furious. My ancestors were stubborn. I was not there and I didn't know the stopping point. At that time, it was not up to them to deal with it. What wasn't fun? Yu Menying smiled and said, there is also Yun Fuzong. Yun Fuzong's life is very good. I heard that the young daughter of the Eastern Emperor secretly played in Yun Fuzong, and some people said that he would do it in Yun Fuzong. Playing around, there is no specific news, but the one from the immortal emperor's netherworld lived in Yun Fuzong and gave face to Yun Fuzong, so no one dared to mess with Yun Fuzong. Ye Kong smiled and shook his head. Xiandi's young daughter was playing a ring in Yun Fuzong? Bachan's daughter was 80% kicked by a donkey. It's a nonsense. I don't know who made up the rumor. Someone believes? Yeah, there are so many nonsense things. Kangnan still has the legend that the madman Ye Kuang's pseudonym Li Hezi explored the demon zone alone, and was finally watched by a demon woman. There were a lot of little demon people there, no more not coming back. Yu Menying said, already giggling. Ye Kong smiled bitterly. Don't say that, I was almost left behind by the Mozu women, you don't know, those Mozu women, forget it, don't say it, but fortunately I fled to Yunyeo. Yu Menying was appalled by what Ye Kong refused to say. She had never seen the devil or the demon woman, so she was curious. Of course, Ye Kong can't say anything inappropriate for children, only that they have 3 eyes, 3 heads, 6 arms, and 3 heads and 6 arms. Yu Menying nodded and said, the world is big, there is everything, there are a lot of Kangming beasts in the Kangming who look strange, but many of them look terrible, but they are not fierce. How could Ye Kong deliberately discuss the Kangming beast with her and asked again, tell me more about the mountain of elixir, how about Rulan? Finally asked. Yu Menying shook his head and gave a look of indifference. I don't know. I haven't been there recently. The elixir mountain has been very low-key. We participate in everything. What Yu Menying said was the fact that the elixir mountain has always been like this. Ye Kong nodded, and it seemed that Lien Rulan was still fine. He didn't ask for good news, but only for bad news, thank God. Well then, I'll go back to rest first. Ye Kong stood up. Okay, ask me when you need seeing Joe coordinates. Yu Menying sent him to the door of the room. Before leaving, Ye Kong asked again, oh, and why are the other shadow crow eyes purple, but you are black? Yu Menying smiled. With a finger on his eyes, his pupils became purple. Ye Kong suddenly realized, it's a contact lens, it's really advanced. Yu Menying curiously said, what is a contact lens? I made this kind of spirit grass juice with some dyes. Ye Kong nodded. Go back and help me make it purple. Yu Menying yelled, want to fake our movie clan? No way. Ye Kong laughed, all the shadow girls are mine. You dream. Yu Menying pushed someone out in a bad mood. Ye Kong walked back to the room, opened the array, sat cross-legged, and began to realize that he had just controlled the 7th trench status. The so-called standing high and seeing far, a monk can only stand on his own cultivation to see the world clearly. But just now, he manipulated the body of a monk during the fit period, which was equivalent to sending him to an unprecedented height. At that moment, his understanding of the laws of heaven and earth, of himself, of strength, etc. had been greatly improved. Therefore, he must quickly think about it. This meditation sat for 3 days. When he opened his eyes, He asked Yi Menying about the current coordinates of the starboat on the astrolabe, and then went to the Devil in Black and sent the coordinates to Kuangpeng. Kuangpeng has been waiting in the Devil in Black, teleported away after receiving the coordinates, and flew in the direction of Xingzhou in Kangming. In fact, the position of Kuangpeng is not too far from Xingzhou. After flying all day, he has caught up with Xingzhou. For the coming of Kuangpeng, Yi Menying did not hesitate. Kuangpeng was very comfortable. Kuangpeng knew that the route to Kangnan was confidential. He didn't want to ask, and he got into his room and went to rest. But before he left, he gave Yekong a few more sky magic eyes. This was the sky magic eyes that he had killed and captured when he led away the Saint Demon Sovereign. Take Black Demon Sect and try to enter the Mustard Time Tower to practice again. I believe you will have a chance to soar in the future. Kuangpeng patted Yekong's shoulders and returned to the room. Yekong Li was so touched that this was the case for those who really cared about himself. He didn't expect it, he thought for himself. Watching Kuangpeng disappear behind the door, Yekong exclaimed, "Senior Kuangpeng, don't worry, I will never let you wait too long." The voice of Kuangpeng came from the door, "Haha, I believe in you, but this sentence has to wait for me to pass through the disaster."